Only mammals have receptors for capsaicin, so we perceive them as super hot. Birds don't, and neither do reptiles. Who likes chili peppers? Birds. Well, I don't care. I'm walking downtown, and crazy all the cars gonna mow me down. I look at all those people like cows in a herd. Who likes chili peppers? Birds. I can't hear you. Come on, guys. I know it's early on a Saturday. We're gonna do this one last time. Well, I don't care. We're walking downtown, and crazy all the cars gonna mow me down. I look at all those people like cows in a herd. Who likes chili peppers? Birds. There we go. All right, thank you. That was the bird song. You don't look impressed, though, sir. What's that? Okay, all right. I remember you from Private. What's your name? Sean. Welcome back. Your hair's a little longer, right? Shorter? Mine's longer. Okay. Okay, so we got birds. They spread all over the world. Now they grow in every single country in the world. People that do research in Antarctica have even grown them indoors. So they now grow everywhere. Okay, so a little bit about peppers. They're members of the family, okay, Solanaceae. This also includes tomatoes, potatoes, tobacco, nightshade, and peppers. So all those came from South America. So it makes you wonder what people ate in other countries and other continents before they spread them. So a couple of facts. Okay, so all chili peppers belong to the capsicum genus. This is a little bit of the science part, sorry folks. From the Greek word capto, which means to bite. Okay? So this is pronounced capsicum. Okay? These are native to Central and South America. They originated in Bolivia. Now they're grown everywhere in the world. The original name is chili, said to derive from a native word to chili, meaning red. Okay? Note that the name chili, like the country, like somebody said, is actually derived from a word meaning snow. It has nothing to do with chili peppers. Okay? All right, so different species. As I mentioned, there's about 33 different species out there. There's one from like the Galapagos Islands, for example, called something Galapagos. There's one that has yellow flowers and it doesn't produce any fruit. So why would you want to grow it? Okay. Of course I do, but there's a lot of different types. But these are your main five, okay? You're gonna have habaneros. How many people have had habanero out there? All right. This is a species called chinense. Okay, somebody out there thought chili peppers were from China. We already lost our young audience member. So a Dutch taxonomist in the 1800s thought all chili peppers came from China, and so he named the species chinense, meaning from China. That's not correct. Okay, we know they're from Bolivia. We got Tabasco. Okay, this one means shrubby or fruity. How many people have grown a Tabasco plant out there? You get a lot of peppers. Do they grow up in the air or down? They grow up? Yep. We got annuum. Okay, this is going to be your jalapenos, your serranos, your bell peppers, your Anaheims. Okay. Probably the most common one that we have in our grocery markets. We also have a species called bacatum, okay? And that's one of my favorite peppers called the ají limón. We have some for sale today, but they're called lemon drop. That's what Steve calls them. I call them ají limón. Okay. But those are really good. They have a real citrusy flavor. Even the plants, go pinch the plant. It actually smells like citrus. It's pretty incredible. We're still trying to put our foot on that. We have another species down here called pubescens. Okay? And the type that are grown in that are called rocotos. Okay? Has anyone grown a rocoto before? Yeah. Did you get a lot of peppers? No. They're pretty hard to do. They need a lot of days. That's why I'm not even selling them to you. Okay? But that one's pretty unique because it actually has hairs all over the plant and all over the leaves. So it actually means hair. So all these, evolved from one type of chili pepper, we think, over time. Okay? And we refer to those as ancestral peppers. Okay? So when we look at all these peppers today, and you grow them, look at your garden at the end of August, September, how do we know which ones are more ancestral? Well, a couple things. Number one, they grow straight up in the air. Okay? All chili peppers originally grew straight up in the air like this. They were all very small. Most of them turned from green to red. They were all super spicy and hot. Okay? So over time, A couple things. The other thing you'll notice is if you grow one like this, it's this red, and you go to touch it, it's going to fall right off of what's called the peduncle, the stem. It has a very loose association with the peduncle. Okay. So over time, people in South America were growing them for food, and they said, well, number one, we don't want the birds to eat all of our peppers. So they started to select for varieties that grew down, underneath the leaves. They could hide them from the birds. The other thing is that if you have a big windy hailstorm, I think the winds are supposed to pick up today, I recall, 25 miles an hour or something like that, I heard. It would knock a lot of the peppers off and have them fall on the ground. So they selected for varieties that were really strong. They were really hard to actually pick. So how many people out there have grown like a bell pepper that you physically, you had to cut it off the plant, right? You can't just grab it and it doesn't fall off, right? You're shaking your head, yeah. So these are all things that we have domesticated of the pepper because we wanted it to hide from the birds. We wanted them to be bigger. We also wanted ones that weren't scorching hot. And we also wanted ones that were very strong and would not fall off the plant in windy storms. So now when you look at the diversity of peppers that grow in your garden, you can start to figure these points out. Like which ones are still ancestral or not? Which ones have been domesticated? Okay, so we have a couple different species here. Right here in this little black point is our nuclear zone. That's where they all originated from. These are a couple of the different species. We have pubescens here, we have annuum, bacatum, chinense. And you can see then how they spread via birds and natives based upon the area in gray. So pubescens, it grew pretty much along the Andes mountain range. Annuum spread all the way up into Mexico. So that's why most of the peppers you get from Mexico are going to be of that species. Bacatum kind of sped horizontally across the continent. Here's chinense. This is interesting. It went all over the Caribbean. Okay? And that has something to do with why all these scorching, the most hot types in the world are all coming from Trinidad. Okay? So natives and birds help us spread them. This is pubescens, where the flower is going to be purple. Some of the other species, most of the flowers are kind of white. Some will have a little bit of yellow on the inside. Okay? But this one, people think it's eggplant because the flowers are purple. But it has hairs all over the plant, and the seeds are actually black. First time I ever cut one open, I thought it was bad or moldy or something like that, because the seeds are definitely black. You grew up, did you get seeds? They're black. It's kind of weird. But that's just one of the unique traits about that particular variety. Okay, so a little bit about a chili pepper. Here we have the anatomy. So this is just your classic jalapeno. Anybody know what color a jalapeno turns when it's ripe? Red. And what color are they when you buy them in the store? Green. How about serranos? Green in the store. What color do they turn? They turn red. They taste better when they're red, by the way. But it's cheaper for people to produce them and sell them at an earlier stage. Right? That's why when you buy bell peppers, right? Green peppers are what, like half the cost of an orange or yellow or red one? Because it takes more time to ripen them on a plant. So these are other reasons I got into chili peppers, because I said, well, I want my jalapenos and serranos to actually ripen. You know? But anyhow, here we have a classic jalapeno. We have the tip down here called the apex. Okay? If you're ever going to bite a pepper for the first time and you don't know how hot it is, start down at that end. Typically then it's going to be 1/4 as hot as if you bit up here. Here we have that peduncle we talked about, the stem. So where's the hot stuff? Yes. Yeah, the placenta. Some people think it's the seeds. That's not actually correct. But the seeds are all stored in that inner membrane called the placenta. And a lot of recipes will say to remove some of the heat, remove the seeds, right? So when you spoon them out, always wear gloves, by the way, we have gloves. You'll be removing that placenta. So all the capsaicin glands are kind of at this interface in this placenta. All right? And so of course we have the flower, if you want to pollinate, stuff like that. You can look online a little bit more. But typically, peppers can self-pollinate. Okay? The way they get all mixed up is from bumblebees. But if you were to do it yourself, you'd want to put pollen right on that little inner part, okay, called the stigma. You'll then see all the petals are going to fall off, and then it'll start to swell, and you'll see a pepper come. Everybody's growing peppers. You see this happening in your gardens. Okay, so some other physical differences of peppers. Okay, so we got different shapes, right? We got different calyx shapes. We have different fruit outlines. So before the internet, people would actually look at a pepper like you're looking down a telescope, and they would draw the shape of it. It's called the whole line. Right? We also have where the pentacle is. So some of those pentacles have really broad shoulders. Okay, so imagine my head is a pentacle and I have broad shoulders.